Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Mark Estigarribia here, Managing Director from MSQ Ventures. We are honored to host Dr. Joan Shen, Founder and CEO of NeuShen Therapeutics, to our MSQ CEO Founder webinar series. Dr. Joan Shen has a distinguished global career in pharmaceutical R&D and leadership. Previously, she served as CEO and head of R&D at IMAB Biopharma, leading its NASDAQ listing and a major global partnership with AbbVie. She has held key roles at Janssen, J&J China, where she achieved multiple NDA, BLA approvals as Chief Medical Officer at Hungary Pharmaceutical, overseeing multinational clinical trials. Certified by the American Board of Psychiatry and Neurology, Joan holds a PhD from Indiana University School of Medicine and has held leadership positions at Eli Lilly, Wyeth, and Pfizer. She is a guest professor at Beijing University and has received numerous accolades, including recognition by Endpoints News, Forbes China, and Bay Helix for her contributions to biopharma leadership. Again, MSQ Ventures is based in New York City, and our audience is global, spanning 20+ countries. We also have a strong presence in China. Good evening, Shanghai. Joan, how are you today? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Mark. Yes, I'm calling from Shanghai right now. It's in the evening time here. Yeah.
Great,
So
great.
we're 13 hours apart. Yes.
Well, we're very excited to jump right into this and learn more about NeuShen. So maybe we can start with what inspired you to found NeuShen Therapeutics in 2022?
Wow, that's a great question. So it, has been in my mind for very, very long. As you can tell from my experiences, I have been trained as a neuroscientist to begin with, and later become a clinician and had a board certification in psychiatry. I practiced and also did academia work in the same time, and later joined industry, all straightforward in neuroscience areas. So I've been observing the areas changes, especially the unmet needs in these patient populations, knowing that we, especially for last over 10 years, we don't have many novel compounds developed to the patients. So after I achieved what I believe it's good enough for my career in IMAB, and I felt it's time for moving into neuroscience areas, especially seeing the regulatory changes in FDA and also the approval for this anti-Alzheimer's disease compound. So I believe it's the right timing. And then with my experiences, I fully believe the small biotech utilizing our strengths and experiences is the way to go.
Great. So what are NeuShen's key focus areas within CNS disorders?
Well, to begin with, we, after, observe or checking the scientific advancements in these areas, we chose small molecules at this stage to target on the areas with the proven the clinical validations, and we believe that's the way to fast forward to reach the patient without much of the delay. So the key focus, again, coming back to is the first, we have novel, innovative approaches in the different stages. At this stage, we believe small molecules is the way to go. And then we focus on the psychiatric indications first, and then later we're targeting more on the neurodegenerative diseases, which is even a greater unmet needs. So currently for psychiatric indications, our first few compounds are focusing on the psychiatric indications such as schizophrenia, treatment-resistant depressions, the treatment-resistant epilepsies, and also the bipolar disorders, as well as pain indications to begin with the first few compounds. And we have a very matured small molecule platform where we utilize the AI facilitated technologies to select the right molecules with the differentiated properties to fast forward to clinical stages.
Excellent. Being a founder, a scientist, a leader, a CEO, how has the experience leading IMAB, biopharma and other pharma roles prepare you to build MSQ? I mean, I'm sorry, NeuShen.
Well, that's a good question. You know, in my entire career, I mostly focusing on the scientific part. The first is discovery research, later as a clinicians treating patients and doing clinical development in the neuroscience areas. For about IMAP experiences, which transformed me from a pure scientist, clinicians to entrepreneur, enabled me to look at the more business sides. So in that experience helped me to understand, you know, how to gain the win-win situations, which is putting unmet needs and putting patients' needs and the business deliverables all together, and to accelerate the compound development, ultimately gain the business win and also the patients, the needs.
Very inspiring. Before we go into your presentation of your company from your deck, what is your vision for growing NeuShen into a global CNS-focused biotech company?
Well, I do have a dream, and that's why at this stage of career, I need to really focus on to fulfill my dream, which is first, develop a few compounds which really met unmet needs of our patients. So our company is focusing on innovative approaches to really developing the compound to be able to commercialize it. However, on the way to get there, we are very open for any form of business collaborations. I think utilizing our strengths. So we have this experience both in China, US, and the rest of the world, that we believe the developing medicines without borders. So we can leverage each side's strengths and advantages to fast forward our compound development instead of step by step waiting for the things to happen. We reach out to look for where the patients are, where the scientists are, and where the markets are. So to leverage all the strengths by facilitating the communications and the business collaborations to reach our business goals faster. So ultimately, NeuShen, we wanted to be a biotech and able to develop compound for the global market first, and to reach the patients in any countries in the world. And we also open for collaborations with MNCs or in other pharmas to gain the win-win situations for the unmet needs and develop our companies stepwise. Currently small molecules. In the future, we are open for other modalities. Yeah.
Exciting, very inspiring. We look forward to learn a little bit more, especially what you accomplished to date on your drug candidates. So on the back of your presentation, we have we'll open up the Q&A to the audience. We'll ask you a few questions. So please share your screen, and we look forward to your presentation. Thank you, Joan.
Sure. Yeah, so I'll do it. Let me get to my screen first. Okay, can you see my screen now? Hello? Okay, great. Okay, so in the next 15 to 20 minutes, I'm going to share with you of our company's current pipelines and its focus in the development. And since we founded the company in early 2022, we started to build the pipeline focusing on the globally competitive pipelines for psychiatric and neurodegenerative diseases. we currently have 2 assets in phase 1 clinical development. Actually, 2 of them have just completed the healthy volunteer studies in both Australia and China. Our platform, as I mentioned earlier, was currently small molecule discovery platform focused, facilitated by AI technologies. And all the compounds are coming out of those platform. And we currently have over 20 proprietary IP submitted. So we have a small team, less than 20. We are all seen as veterans with greater than 20 years of experiences of our leaderships. And then we have currently both R&D teams in both Boston and China. In terms of the corporate development, we had completed pre-A fund in the 3rd quarter of 2022, and we're targeting on completing the Series A finance, in about a month. So, yeah, knock wood. And then so we are promoting the global partnerships for our key assets. So currently, we're about to close it. This is the pipeline with the most advanced development stages. As you can tell, the first 2 are completing the phase 1 studies. And the first one is our KCNQ2/3 activator with multiple indications, which I will later explain a little more. The second one is the M4PAM, which is also completed the phase 1 study with broad safety windows, ready for phase 1b studies in both schizophrenia patients and psychosis in AD or PD patients. And then we have also other 2 compounds, NS015, NS031. Both of them are psychedelics targeting on treatment-resistant depression. And then lastly is our compound for anti-neuroinflammations, targeting on the neurodegenerative diseases, including AD and PD. So let me just give you a little bit more introductions of our NS041, which is KCNQ2/3 activator. As we know, KCNQ activator is actually KCNQ is a gene that have important psychological effects in many cell types. So the opening of potassium channels causes potassium efflux, and therefore consequently hyperpolarize the cell membranes and just deactivate the action potentials, as a result, causing the suppressions of the seizures, something like seizures. And then it has been highly recognized for its the anti-seizure effects. And the first generation has been on the market, but because of some dimer problem, the chemical dimers problem causing precipitations of the pigment on the retina, is being off the market since 2017. The second generations of this activator has been in the phase 3 development led by Lennox Pharma. It was highly recognized of its phase 2 study results. So for our KCNQ2/3 activators, we are firstly very potent and very highly selective. In that case, we can avoid some safety issues, such as bared by the first generation, and also even lower risk for the urinary retentions. And efficacy-wise, we have a broader safety window. That's very important for these potassium openers. And then for our phase 1 studies, we have demonstrated a very differentiated safety profile and PK profile. And right now, we are really ready for phase 2. And this novel structure has been protected by the IP. So these slides show some of the preclinical data. You can tell the in vitro profile and in vivo profiles. And then altogether, since here I do not have time going into details, but overall it showed very good in vitro efficacy and had very low risk of urinary retention by improving selectivity over KCNQ4. The efficacy demonstrated in multiple animal models, including epilepsy and MDD models. And it also had showed in multiple animals for its broader therapeutic index. Well, I think strongest support for the safety profile is from our phase 1 studies, lately just finished. And as you can tell, our competitors with this compound can only go up to 30 milligrams for the SAD/MAD studies. And we were able to go up from 5 milligrams all the way to 45 without any SAE happened, without any clinically meaningful AE recorded. So for all the other AEs reported are mild in nature and without any interventions, and it recovered without any interventions again. For the MAD studies, we have 10, 30, 35. Again, it's very smoothly conducted. We have no any other like safety issues or tolerability issues. And then as a result, we also have a very desirable PK profiles and good therapeutic windows. So at this moment, we believe the druggability has been further demonstrated. Moving forward, we'll dive into the patient populations. In terms of the indications, later we can share with you a little bit more. And then one of the beauty of this anti-epilepsy drug is it can have a broad indications beyond epilepsies, such as bipolar disorders and pain indications. So these are being studied, and in our preclinical, we have multiple data available for those interesting parties to share. Some of them have been published. Now, let me move to our NS-136. It's a next generation antipsychotic with best-in-class potential. And then first of all, we know KarXT has been approved because of the M1, M4 agonist natures. And then so M4 itself has been studied by many companies. Recently, the Cerevel's M4 PAM had failed phase 2 studies. People asked, what is the difference of your M4 in terms of the, the compound features and also the other potential differences? What I can say is, first, we are more selective in M4, which is, and secondly, we have proved the efficacy in multiple animal models. We have had to have comparisons in preclinically with those compounds. And then more importantly, we have very, very large safety windows, and the PK profile is really very desirable. So when I said larger safety windows, and you can tell we almost doubled at this moment to the Cerevel 321, which is 30 milligrams, and then we reached 55 already, and we are continuing going up. And then so we believe with a similar potency, even we can still go up for more desirable doses, and then to have the potential to show the efficacies. And going back to the preclinical data, as you can tell, the sensitivities is very obvious for our compound for M4. And then for the DMPK properties, we have better bioavailabilities and have a desirable T-half, and the plasma, the brain CSF concentrations are better, which meaning that the blood, the drug concentrations in the brain is very good, and it's better than our competitors. So overall, is in the multiple animal data, so we also showed the competitive, more compelling efficacies in improving positive negative symptoms and cognitive functions without any, observed GI side effects. We also have a broad therapeutic window. Again, like our KCNQ 2/3, the clinical studies have further demonstrated the value of this compound. I think so this study was done in Australia. As you can tell, I think the title was wrong. It's NS036. The SAD studies, we started with 5 milligrams per day, goes up all the way to 55 without any major safety concerns, no SAE at all, and no cardiovascular major issues. And for the MAD studies, we completed 20 and 40 in Australia. In China, we initiated 50 milligrams already, and we are still in the middle of the studies. So far, no any major safety concerns has reported. And the PK profiles and showing it's a linear, it's the linearity is very, very good, and the dose and exposures are proportional. So again, we believe this demonstrated the compound has great potential with large safety windows, and the PK profile, and further demonstrates the therapeutic windows is appropriate for multiple indications, not only for schizophrenia, as we can tell for the elderly, the safety window is a major issue. Tolerability is also a major issue for patients to accept the treatment. So currently, we know for psychosis in AD-PD patients, we don't have any drugs have direct indications for that. Currently, the physicians are like to use antipsychotics to treat those symptoms. However, those antipsychotics suppress the D2, the dopamine, receptors, further deteriorated the cognitive function. Secondly, it has multiple safety concerns, which can result in any safety concerns for the elderly population. So in that area, it's a huge unmet needs. We really have the urgent needs to develop some safer and no damage to the cognitive functions for those patient populations. So this compound opened another potentials for these indications beyond schizophrenia. So our goal is, in terms of clinical development strategies, our goal is for, as a pipeline in a pill, which means any single compound, we will, according to its compound potentials, we will maximize its commercial potentials. For example, for NS041, we started the first indication as a proof of concept for focal onset seizures. These studies we will initiate in the middle of next year. From there, we will initiate the studies for depression. This compound did have a potential for treating the depressed patients without any at least currently without any obviously sexual dysfunctions and in any other SSRI antidepressants, which will take at least 4 weeks to work. These from Xenopharma's phase 2 study results, you can tell the antidepressant effects started in week 2. So that's a huge advantages for depressed patients. It also can generalize to other indications, for example, generalized seizure and the pain, and especially for the chronic pain and also other peripheral pains. And we also had some peripheral preliminary data in animals studies showing that can work on the pain indications. And of course, bipolar depression disorders as mood stabilizers. The same as NS136, the M4PAM, we will conduct the phase 1b studies for proof of concept in schizophrenia patients in the first quarter of next year. Currently, we are expanding the indications for the psychosis in ADPD patients. So currently we are increasing the patient population to elderly and healthy volunteers from the regular to add the patient populations of age of 65 to 85 to obtain more safety profiles for this compound to help us to initiate the studies on psychosis in ADPD patients in the middle of next year. Moving forward, the compound can also have the potential for bipolar disorders after these two indications first. So those are the key compounds in the clinical development. I also wanted to mention a little bit more regarding the clinical development challenges in CNS. So when we talk about compound development, it's the chemical or the compound properties in preclinically. But for CNS particularly, clinical development is very, very challenging. It requires a lot of experiences and I would say to really focusing on how to improve the conduct of clinical trials to eliminate or minimize some subjectivities and placebo effects, and also to especially for the patient coming from different culture and backgrounds, it could have any culture, language, ethnicity differences. So all of this could impact the results. Quite a few failed compounds, in my experience, and also from other companies' experience. After the ad hoc analysis, we really look into it and find some of the issues which result in the failure of the trial instead of the compound fail. Through my experiences, I have summarize a few approaches to minimize these subjectivities or heterogeneities. On the left side, on the lower part, are the three publications, and for me as a first author. But basically, it just analyze the challenges in the different clinical trials and to find ways to minimize those risks. In the next. So left one is just one of the publications. I led studies in Pan-Asian instrument validation study, trying to pull all the Asian patients geographically together to validate the instruments, which was developed by the West countries to enable the global studies and then to modify, amend the questionnaires, instruments based on the culture, language, and differences. So those are being published. And on the right side, I thought was more interesting. And at the time, it was the first studies utilizing central readers to minimize the subjectivities and the variabilities of the studies. So you can tell from the upper graph, it was from the central readers for BPRS, for placebo studies. The central readers, as a primary endpoint, showed the successful differentiations of placebos from the two compounds, the yellow, pink, and from olanzapine. The lower part is the site readers, given the ratings of the schizophrenia, the same patient populations. As you can tell, it failed to show the difference between placebo and compound development. This was published later on, right? Later, it was become references for many other companies to conduct clinical trials. And right now, because of digital device available, it become even simpler. For example, according to a publication, CAR-XT, in their global studies, they used the recording to record all the instruments, interviews, to monitor the ratings and also to minimize the errors. So all of this just showing you clinical development is so important, not just developing a molecule, but also choosing the right way of conducting the clinical trials, choosing the right dose, right indications are as important together. just a little bit more analysis for the recent failed cerebral 231 studies in phase 2. We know it's a big deal. AbbVie acquired cerebral with 87 billion US dollars. But unfortunately, the phase 2 studies failed, and the people ask why it failed. So we did the comparisons, as you can tell. The cerebral phase 1b studies were very successful. I highlighted the placebo response. On the 6 clinical trials, 6 weeks of trials, the placebo response on the phase 1b was an average of 6.77, which was on the average of phase 2 studies, as we usually do or observed. And however, the Empower 1 and Empower 2 are their phase 2 studies, and the placebo response are very, very high. You can tell it's 13.5, and the other one is 16.1. So even the two studies together, it's different. So that means there must be something wrong with the conduct of the trials. And so as you can tell, the study, the compound study groups are relatively showing the efficacy. However, because of the high placebo results, it would become not interpretable. First, the phase 2 studies in KarXT on the lower part, you can tell in the phase 2 studies, KarXT successfully showed very controlled placebo results, which is minus 5.9. And recently completed another China bridging studies. The placebo results is also minus 7.7. So they are all in a very we call normal ranges for placebo results. We looked at their publications and the introductions of the clinical trials. So KarXT, they utilize a very strict monitoring and third-party monitorings to minimize the sensitivities or variabilities. So we believe there are rooms to improve for cerebral 231. The high placebo results and the variability in the studies could have caused the failure of the studies. Again, further demonstrated clinical trials' importance in CNS drug development. So for the next 2 or 3 minutes, I just briefly introduce another 2 compounds we believe are clinically very valuable. First one is NS015, which is a non-hallucinogenic psychedelic analogs for treatment-resistant depression. And this is also a very hot area for, recently, as we can tell, esketamine was a very successful, even though it is very strictly used by clinicians. Because of the unmet needs, quite a few companies are developing this. And for our compound, we were able to, so far, to generate these molecules and without any measurable hallucinogenic effects. So this is our goal, to keep its antidepressant effect without this effect. And then we currently also reached the PCC nominations. In the future, we will move into clinical development in the next year. This is another psychedelics with the esketamine-like properties. And with currently, we believe it has very high potencies, also without the side effects as we've seen from the esketamines. It's also have completed the PCC nominations with excellent in vivo and in vitro efficacy and safety. These 2 are also looking for partnerships for co-development in the futures. And the last one is our NS050. It's NLRP3 anti-inflammatory compound for treatment of AD and PD. We know this one has been in the clinical, other competitors has been in development. We currently have demonstrated very good in vitro potencies and ADME and PK properties. And we plan to submit this IND in the year ahead. So this is the conclusion of this our company's development. So we are a really global biotech with footprints both in Shanghai and Boston, hoping to leverage each site's advantages, fast developing this compound for globally competitive drug development compound for our patients' needs. Lastly, this is the overall status of our company. We have initiated this company 2 years ago. We are in the mature and establishment stage with the fully fledged R&D team and comprehensive pipelines. Moving forward, we are expanding to the global reach and then looking for global collaborations and also looking for the global market and for NASDAQ listings in the future. And then again, we are looking for partnerships and welcome any potentials for investing in us or collaboration with us. So this concludes my presentation. Thank you, Mark.
Great. Well, thank you, Dr. Joan Shen. Very informative, very exciting, inspirational. Let me gather a couple of questions we have from the audience. Okay, so I guess one of the questions that they wanted to hone in on is the competitive landscape differentiation. Specifically on the mechanism of action for NS041 as the KCNQ2-3 selective activator. If you can just explain a little bit more about the novel approach of your MOA.
Okay, so yes, this is again, I said we are currently is not first in class, so we chose the fast track for those target which has been validated. So KCNQ openers are currently in development for second generations. So the first generations, retigabine was marketed earlier, like 10 years, like 14 years ago. And then because of the side effects caused by these chemical dimers, which form these pigmentations at the retina, it was discontinued from the market. However, the second generation, the fast runners is Xenopharma's. Their compound has been, as far as their company's report, they are going to submit NDA to the FDA next year's. So they are about to finishing their phase 3 studies. It has very significant in controlling the seizure recurrence. So this, we know in epilepsies, like 1/3 of the patients cannot be well controlled by the current treatment. So our efforts were focusing on solving the problem for this 1/3 of the patients. So any compound which can prolong the seizure-free time will be very significantly clinical use for. And then any compound can just have the patient responded to this compound to improve the either seizure-free or reduction of the seizure frequencies, all of these. So right now, we already had sodium channel openers and calcium channel opener blockers, all of these, but potassium channel openers are the only one has not been marketed yet. So comparing with the Xenopharma's compound, as I mentioned earlier, we have more selectivities. We have broader safety windows. So that help us to avoid some of the safety issues, for example, urinary retentions and the safety use of the different patient populations, because we have currently reached higher safety windows comparing with theirs. So in the future, we will be able to develop multiple indications in multiple populations, from juveniles to elderly patients, from epilepsies to bipolar disorders to pain indications as well.
Okay, thank you. Here's another one on the NS-136 asset. How does NS-136 work as a selective M4 receptor positive allosteric modulator, PAM? Pam.
Yeah, so that's I remember when I was in Lilly, the companies working on this M1, M4 agonist, and because of the M1's peripheral side effects, especially the GI tract side effects, made the patients cannot tolerate this compound, and it was discontinued, even though we've seen the efficacies, which is in controlling the positive, negative, and the cognitive functions of the schizophrenic patients. But we know the KarXT was revived because of the antagonists on the peripheral for antagonize this M1, enable the M4 in the central, and also part of the M1 and in central to work together for the schizophrenia patients. However, after multiple research, and we found out that actually the M4 is more critical for for controlling the schizophrenia patients than M1, and then the multiple M4 PAM have been studied, showing this pure M4 PAM actually is enough to show the antipsychotic effect, and also it eliminate or significantly reduced the side effects of GI and also of the cardiovascular liabilities. So based on that theories, we developed this M4 with high selectivities and also the enough potencies to enable this PK profile and the efficacy windows for these indications. And so basically what it worked was, and this M4 is actually a muscarinic and cholinergic receptor 4. It is distributed in the basal ganglia areas, which is modulating the antipsychotic effects, and reserve the effect on the frontal lobes, because the previous generations of antipsychotics just non-selectively blocked D2 receptors broadly. So that's why the patient cognitive function was impaired. But this one is different. This M4 PAM was only selectively blocked the basal ganglia areas, which indirectly block the dopamine receptor the effect, but reserve the D2 the effect on the frontal lobes. So in that case, it's more selectively showing the antipsychotic effects without affecting the cognitive functions. So that's why we believe this is the way to go. With the broad safety window and the efficacy window as our compound showed, we currently were able to go up to 55 milligrams, and we are planning to go up to 60 milligrams. So in that case, the safety window will allow us to be even safer to conduct clinical studies in elderly patient populations. As I mentioned earlier, there's no single agent currently have been approved for treatment of psychosis in elderly, especially psychosis in ADPD patients. that is where we believe has a huge unmet needs and a market.
Great, thank you. I think you discussed in your presentation the challenges, opportunities in a CNS drug development space from the industry perspective, top-down approach. What characteristics does NeuShen have to establish yourself as a leader in this space?
That's a good question. So we started our companies 2 years ago. Our strategy is to stay competitive with our unique experiences and approaches with years of accumulated experiences scientifically and clinical trials and areas. This is for biotech, it's very unique. Usually you have more focus on the discovery or development, but we have cross the discovery to development approaches, utilizing our strength. And then secondly, we stay competitive through these global communications. So myself and our discovery head, both of us have been working global pharmas. We had years of experiences in US and in China, so we can just have this cross-border communication and leverage our networks to look for the best science and the best talents to join our company, and then to combine the science together with the talents to develop a global biotech. I thought that would enable us to be more competitive than just limited ourselves in small areas or limited in the geographic areas. Mm-hmm.
Great. So what I know you spoke about a lot of different indications and targets and approaches. I guess more holistically here, what areas of neuroscience research are you most excited about for the future?
Well, to me, it's any new compound which can address the unmet needs. For example, any antipsychotics which can retain the patient's cognitive function, which is very critical for the social functionings. Then for long term, that is release the burden of the patient and the families and the societies. So if that will be something on the market, I can tell it will be a very exciting, good benefit to society and excitement for the scientists like us and for the family and the patients themselves. And additionally, any compound for neurodegenerative disease, even now we know the antibodies for amyloid to release as a disease modifier for Alzheimer's disease is only work on a third of the patients. So any other compound covers broader ranges of patient populations. As we are getting older and the more aged populations, we continue need to address these concerns and to cover more patient population with safer and more efficacious drug. That's the excitement and the meaning of our work.
Very exciting. I think we have time for one more. So I know that you went over your milestones, your catalysts that we should expect for NeuShen in 2025. If you can just summarize the main opportunities for companies that are listening, companies that are interested in potentially collaborating with NeuShen, maybe speak to the potential collaborative opportunities that companies can approach NeuShen in 2025 or even now.
Yes, we are actively engaging with MNCs and also some middle-sized companies worldwide. Currently, we are especially after we have generated phase 1 data, especially the target also pretty much validated. We believe there are more opportunities to discuss with the potential partners. And since the release of the phase 1 data, we did have much more interest showing from different companies and parties. coming to us to discuss the data and then to discuss the potential collaborations. And then we already had the domestic companies working with us. So we for the China right, but we are more open for the global right and for any form of collaborations like licensing out or partnership, the co-development, because we have these capacities for clinical trials anywhere in the world. So that's why we have all the possibilities open. And then right now, JP Morgan is an exciting time. We have already had many the meetings, appointments set up, and we're looking forward to sharing our data with the potential partners and with any interesting parties.
Well, congratulations, Dr. Joan Shen, on your discovery and all your accomplishments to date. We're very excited and eager to see NeuShen's future milestone achievements. Any closing remarks for the audience?
Well, thank you, Mark, for giving us this opportunity. NeuShen is still in the growing stage. We are very excited about our achievement, especially looking at this advancement in clinical development. We are very confident that this compound will be able to move into the phase 2 with our capacities and abilities. We will choose the right indications and the right populations to maximize those compounds' potentials. And so I really want to appreciate whoever have been giving me the support on the road, the investors and the scientists, and also especially our colleagues and then the patients who joined the studies, and also the partners, friends like MSQ, who have been with me for better time or worse time. But I think looking at future, I think it's brighter, and without questions, I think the better time is coming, and we are looking forward with working with you and many other peoples.
Great, thank you, Joan. Really appreciate those kind words. And thank you for everyone for your interest today in NeuShen and an MSQ CEO Founder webinar series. And with that, have a great day, night, happy holidays, and an early Happy New Year. Thank you very much for attending.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.